What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. Today I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to every gamer in one way or another, and that's balance. Hero balance in Overwatch specifically is something that players have been discussing since before the game even released. And while I personally am someone who usually tries to avoid talking about hero balance in Overwatch, largely because it tends to bring out the worst in people, I am still very much fascinated by the nature of balancing a game like Overwatch, and I feel like it's only been recently that the true value of periodic balance changes has really come to light. So today, I want to talk about why hero balance in Overwatch is so incredibly important, and believe it or not, but it has nothing to do with making Overwatch a more balanced game. Real quick first though, I'd like to remind you to subscribe and hit up that bell icon to never miss out on any future Overwatch and Overwatch 2 news and content, and also I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. Back when I was but a lad, my father once told me, "Son, a man is nothing more than the wallet that's in his pocket." And that was the day I knew my old man had lost it. But then I discovered the Ridge Wallet. Boasting a compact design, the Ridge Wallet holds all the cards and cash you need, and then some. It's constructed of sturdy metal, features RFID blocking technology, not to mention that it's available in a variety of colors, from carbon fiber to burnt titanium, and even 18-karat gold-plated. But if even that isn't enough to entice you, you can get 10% off your own Ridge Wallet by going to ridge.com/MasterIanGamer and entering the code MasterIanGamer. Get one for yourself, get one for your cat, get one for a stranger as a pleasant surprise. Just follow the link at the top of the description and enter code MasterIanGamer for 10% off your order. Thanks again to Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video, and now back to Overwatch. So to start off this video, I'd first like to address something which I sort of see as being a misconception when it comes to balance in Overwatch, which is that every individual balance patch is done in the effort to bring Overwatch closer to being a perfectly balanced game. After all, every player dreams of a world where their favorite heroes are viable in every situation, and they never have to get matched up against anything that ever feels unfair or unfun to play against. However, this dream of Overwatch being in a perfectly balanced state is simply that, a dream, and it's not something that could ever realistically be achieved no matter how or what they end up doing to the game. Think about how long Overwatch as a game has existed and how many different balance patches have taken place over the course of its lifetime. And yet, despite all these gradual iterations and changes of different heroes and even maps, would you say that the game is any closer to actually being balanced? Now, I think a lot of people would respond to that question by simply saying that the Overwatch development team is just bad at balancing their own game. And while I'm not going to necessarily say they are the best in terms of balancing heroes, certainly I don't think it's fair to really peg them as being terrible balancers simply because it's an impossible task. As I said, Overwatch is inherently impossible to perfectly balance, and in large part that's because the game is asymmetric. Not only do the vast majority of maps and game modes feature non-symmetrical layouts, but heroes individually are going to be better or worse in different situations. A hero like Torbjorn is obviously much better on defense given the stationary nature of his turret, while a more aggressive and mobile hero like Wrecking Ball is typically going to be more effective on attack. And now of course there are always ways for people to play these heroes in different manners where they can get good value out of these specific heroes in unexpected ways, but the fact that Overwatch consists of 30 plus heroes who each have their own unique kits and abilities, and the fact that these different abilities are better or worse in different situations, means you're never going to end up with a scenario where every single hero is viable in every single situation. Not only is that impossible when considering all the variables present in a game like Overwatch, but also that's not very interesting. If you were to balance Overwatch to the point that every single hero worked essentially the same in terms of their viability, that would basically mean nerfing every hero to be so similar that it removes what's arguably the best part about Overwatch, which is its diversity of characters. You can't expect to have 30 plus unique, distinct playable heroes, and also have it where some of those heroes aren't better or worse than others. So does that mean that Blizzard has been wasting their time over the past 5 years with all the little hero balance changes and tweaks they've made? Well, no. You see, barring the occasional misstep, which I will admit Blizzard does occasionally make mistakes when it comes to balancing their heroes, more or less the developers are always pushing the game in a direction of being better balanced, but that doesn't necessarily mean the game overall is more balanced. You see, every time there's a significant balance patch added and certain heroes are buffed in this way and other heroes are nerfed in other ways, inevitably these changes always result in the development of a new meta, or at the very least, new strategies where certain heroes are exceptionally strong in certain areas. And over time, players become frustrated with these new metas because they feel like the dominant, must-use strategies. Players don't like being forced to run the same heroes in the same combinations over and over again, which is how the next following balance patch will technically improve the game by better balancing it in the process of tweaking the meta and thus nerfing heroes who are super strong or buffing heroes who aren't quite as strong so that they can compete with those who are currently dominant. However, as one might imagine, this then only leads to a different set of heroes being meta, or perhaps the same heroes being meta still in just a different way, which is what ultimately results in the hero balance of Overwatch being a vicious cycle. No matter how much you balance certain heroes or team compositions, there's always going to be one or two meta compositions which end up floating to the top and being the de facto most effective composition to use. And even if these particular metas are only really viable at, let's say, the highest tiers of Overwatch play, such as the esports pro scene or at the very highest ranks of competitive, simply having that sort of established meta or dominance of specific characters is inherently not super enjoyable. Whether you're someone who's actually playing in those team compositions and are forced to play the same character in the same composition over and over and over again, or you're just a fan watching pros play these same heroes over and over and over again, having the same set of heroes being the dominant characters who are played over and over and over again in the exact same way isn't very enjoyable, which is what brings us to the actual true value of having periodic balance changes, which is that it keeps Overwatch feeling fresh. Even in the content desert where we're not getting any new maps or heroes, balance changes at the very least serve as a minuscule form of content that keeps the game fresh by switching up how heroes play. Even if it's not as drastic as adding or removing abilities, just tweaking the numbers on specific individual abilities of individual heroes can often have pretty significant effects on the macro scale. It can cause one hero to be not as viable in a situation that previously they were very strong in, or open up new potential for different types of combos or team compositions that previously wouldn't have worked together. So ultimately, while balancing heroes like this is a vicious cycle in that it'll never end and will just further necessitate more balance patches each step down the line, that's what makes it an interesting element of Overwatch as a game. Having all these refreshes, essentially, on how different heroes function and where they're strong or weak, keeps the game overall feeling fresh and interesting and gives players something new, more or less, to experience. Which leads us then to what is perhaps one of the most unsung issues facing Overwatch at this point in time, which is its absolute lack of new balance changes. At the time of me recording this video, there hasn't been a notable hero balance patch since August 5th. That's more than a month ago at this point, and the previous balance patch before that one was July 1st. Now, knowing my luck, I wouldn't be surprised if Blizzard suddenly decided to push out another new balance patch between the time of me recording and uploading this video, but the point still stands that Blizzard's balance patches over the past few months have been incredibly slow. Balance patches have ground to an absolute halt over the past few months, and honestly, I think this has been having a much more drastic impact on the game than many people realize. The last few months for Overwatch have by a long shot been the absolute worst. Not in terms of the balance of the specific heroes, but in terms of the number of people actually playing the game and the general interest surrounding the franchise. Things have been dead in the Overwatch community, and there's certainly a number of factors which I'm sure are contributing to it. The overall lack of content with no new maps or heroes, and also the big controversies that Blizzard has been getting involved in has certainly pushed away a large number of players. But I think one factor that not enough people are really paying attention to right now is the fact that the game, not only in terms of content has been dry, but in terms of balance, it has gotten incredibly stale. Every hero I play right now plays identically to how they did a month ago. Most heroes haven't changed at all for multiple months at this point, if not even longer. And while in some ways you could see that as a good thing, since any of the skills or strategies you've adopted for these specific heroes are still relevant and you're not constantly being forced to relearn things, honestly, I think the relearning process is something that many people sort of took for granted as being one of the unseen pleasures of playing a game like Overwatch. Being forced to constantly adapt and learn new techniques and interact with different characters in different ways, I think is a very enjoyable aspect of playing the game. And I really think it was only over these past couple months when we started to see the balance patches really die down that myself and many others came to realize just how vital even the tiniest of balance tweaks are to the long-term sustainability of Overwatch as a game. Every match plays out more or less identically to how they've been playing out for months at this point, and if anything is going to end up being the final nail in the coffin in terms of Overwatch entering a dying state, I think the absence of continuous periodic hero balance could be that nail. Now, that then raises some questions as for why Blizzard has abandoned hero balance in recent months. As I mentioned, it's not like the game has suddenly become perfectly balanced, and thus there's no more need to balance the game, since it's always going to be a vicious cycle of balancing over and over and over again, but rather, as with basically every other issue Overwatch has been experiencing over the past couple years, I think Overwatch 2 is in fact the culprit. We've heard from various leaks recently that the Overwatch development team is being pushed to enter the final stages of Overwatch 2 development and get the game out during the first half of 2022, which could very well mean that the Overwatch development team is now focusing nearly all their resources on specifically getting Overwatch 2 out the door. And what that likely means is that most, if not all, of the Overwatch balance team is now focusing exclusively on Overwatch 2 and isn't putting much, if any, effort into the balance of Overwatch 1. Now, we could certainly debate extensively about whether or not this is the right direction for Blizzard to be taking things, as we all certainly want Overwatch 2 to be finished as soon as possible, but is it worth the impact it's been having on Overwatch 1? Even without the new content of maps and heroes, hero balance always felt like that one thing we could still rely on to be actively taking place in the current Overwatch, and now we've entered a point where even that seems to have been abandoned. So I'm very much interested in hearing what you all think about this in the comments down below. Do you think it's a bad thing that Blizzard has abandoned the vicious cycle of balancing Overwatch 1 in an effort to get Overwatch 2 out the door? Or do you prefer that they're focusing almost exclusively on the sequel at this point and think that's the right direction for them to be taking things? Either way, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, hit up that bell icon, and come join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Thanks again to Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video, and be sure to follow the link down in the description to get 10% off your order. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.